Hi everyone, today we're here with Deb Brandon, author of But My Brain Had Other Ideas. Welcome Deb, how are you today?
Fine, thanks. Thank you for having me.
So what was the catalyst that made you want to write this book, and when did that happen?
Well, I'm a brain injury survivor, and I had just undergone 3 brain surgeries, and I felt like I was lost and alone, and I couldn't find any books or anything on the internet that I felt would help me through this strange place I found myself. So, I was trying to figure out how to live with a brain injury. And since I couldn't find anything, I thought, okay, I'll write what happens and bumble along following my nose, and hopefully writing things down would help. And at the same time, I also wanted friends and family to understand what I was going through, because there was this invisible disability thing going on. And so, yeah, I started writing, and then so I wanted to help friends and family understand, and um, I also wanted brain injury survivors to understand. Since they were going through something similar, I figured that they also felt the same way. But then as time went on and I was writing, I realized that I wanted a broader audience because I was dealing with issues of stigma and that kind of thing. So that's when I decided I wanted to write more effectively. So because of the brain injury, I couldn't handle workshops and classes and whatnot. So I hired a writing coach, and that's when I started writing the book. And that was so I got the brain injuries, well, those surgeries were in 2007. And within 2-3 years, I started working on it seriously.
And were there any surprises along the way in the process of writing this book?
It was kind of interesting. There were generic surprises, like I had my self-awareness increase. I mean, part of that was due to the whole experience of the brain injury, but I think the writing really helped with that. And because of that, I was better able to ask the professionals questions about what was happening to me, and it helped me manage a lot of the deficits. So that was one thing that surprised me. But I think the biggest surprise was I was writing about my time in inpatient rehab, and there was a scene there where a neuropsychologist asked me almost nonchalantly, have you ever thought of suicide? And so I was writing about that, and at the time I said, well, not seriously, because I would never do it, this kind of thing. And as I was writing about it, that's when I realized that I did have it in me, and that that it could happen again. And that really shook me. I think that was the most, I don't know if surprise is the right word for it, but it really shook me up.
And who are your readers, and what do you want them to know about your book?
Well, from what I've seen, with talking to people, a lot of the readers are brain injury survivors themselves, caregivers, friends and family. Well, certainly my friends and family, and also theirs, who are trying to figure out what's going on. And there are also a lot of people, just the public at large, who, I don't know, either interested or just like reading or whatever. What do I want them to know about? Well, okay. So I want the takeaway message is partly about the disability, to understand it, to have empathy rather than pity. That was the one thing I was really scared of, that people would pity me. And that this is a real thing. You know, we're talking, again, invisible disability. It's a real thing. It's not that we're malingering or being melodramatic. We do have real issues that you can't see. So that was one thing I wanted people to figure out, as in remove the stigma and all that stuff. I also wanted to help brain injury survivors to understand that they're not alone. I mean, that's a big one. I felt so alone at times. And I wanted them to understand some of these things that were happening to them. You know, I had a book event in Denver, and there was a woman who, you know, I was talking about what happened, and this woman said to me, I had this thing called sensory overload, but I had no idea what it was. I thought I was going crazy. So I think by writing it and having become more self-aware and talking to medical professionals, I know and make connections better than many other brain injury survivors. What do I want to tell them about a book? Oh, I don't know. Other than that, I don't know. It's a good book. It's a book. It's not a reference book in the sense, but I know someone who read it almost like a reference book, and you can't read it like that. It's my story, and through my story, I am hoping to help others, other than the fact that it helped me to write it. And I want it to be read as a story, and that people will connect with it and understand from it a lot of stuff, not just about brain injury, about any kind of invisible disability, about any kind of serious illness. I think a lot of people connect with this on many levels.
Well, that's a wonderful message of compassion. Deb's book is available on Amazon.com, and if you want to find out more, you can go to her website, debbrandon.com. Thank you so much for joining us today, Deb, and we wish you a lot of success with your book.
Thank you very much.